Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Torchlight II. This is one of those games where the main menu changes. So I don't know if this is supposed to be a boss specifically for the second act, or if this is supposed to be the alchemist as far as the boss for the entire game, seemingly. But particularly in 2024, when I'm recording this, we've gotten to a point where I just don't pay any attention to this at all. Torchlight 1 showed your character. This is not my character at all on the main menu. And yeah, but yeah, I've jumped into this game 3 or 4 times and not paid any attention to the main menu. I've recognized this image as I've seen the loading screen. But yeah, here is my character, and if we pause, it zooms in a little bit more than even I can zoom in game, but then it also puts this in front of you so you can't actually see it. So I had just entered this area and then immediately got attacked. There's just like no safe area. Even in the first of it. Also, as you can see, there's all kinds of summons happening now. Apparently, I have just been picking up spells, and they have just been items that I've not paid any attention to. So, I've given the dog the ability to summon several different things, whereas for my spells, I've taken some passive always enabled things so I don't have to think about it, even though that's the exact problem I had before, was that I wasn't even aware it even existed. This area also has traps on the floor, so this is different. The walking robot guns certainly are different too. So things are changing as the game evolves for this clockwork automaton type dungeon. Inherently, this may just be making the game more visually messy than anything else. What does that do? That shoots spikes up in the air. We got spiders coming out of the walls. I feel like that may have been in Torchlight 1 also. So this is just like a contrast of my own ability to summon one robot. Now noticeably, it takes a little bit away from your pet when you can summon a healing robot and other kinds of robots, and summon skeletons and zombies and other characters. Then we have kind of an Egyptian statue here. I think we need to go back this way and investigate whether this just ends in a dead end or what. Seriously. The procedural generation still kind of just goes forever. And so, interesting. The whole platform blows up It's a lot, certainly, I would have to say, to have a platform, to have, like, robotic automatons and platforms. Okay. Is this something or is this nothing? Like, is this lighting up? When I step over things in the proper order? I can't even tell. I don't think it is. I think it's nothing. I definitely remember there being sections like this in Torchlight 1, where you start to get these more linear square elements. So I guess that's just different design. How are we missing items so badly? But yeah, this hole has a Dwemer Skyrim-like design and an Egyptian feel to it, which really feels like, you know, just putting a hat on a hat. Like, as basic as it may have been, I would have preferred to just have one region that had a focus on Egyptian stuff and another region that was focused on Dwemer stuff. I guess maybe there's a Persian influence here, or Middle Eastern early mechanism influence. Something is sucking downward and slowing me down. Something has also just increased the amount of damage I'm doing quite a bit too. We are getting like one-hit kills.
You have become more skillful.
Yeah. Just let my guy deal with that for a second. Yeah. We finally got all the armor on. So it would be difficult to start to think about upgrading anything else. Maybe this is one thing we would think about doing. If I keep doing this, the damage goes up. If I do this, I could get my armor up. I think I want damage up though. Let's just push that to 100. I don't think like I could get 1% dodge and damage up. I'm not even sure I really need to increase dodge. It is worth asking the question, certainly, as far as just how well would this game really play if there were 4 players all summoning with the 4 pets, because you get a pet and it's just a permanent companion. You can't kill it off or send it away, and then potentially your pet is going to alternative 3. Interesting. But yeah, if you can have 8 summon spells potentially, summoning a lot of enemies, or a lot of minions and summons on your side, and 3 other players could do that too, the screen would just be completely full of visual nonsense. It already is. I suppose it is also my healing robot healing me. Yeah. So I guess I'm getting back to the point where I may have to use some mana potions. I don't think there's a real way you can get away from never using mana potions on some of these heavier hitters. We could try to turn up our armor even more. I don't think these traps are ever going to really have any effect. I guess the question is what happens if I just stand on it? Yeah, it's doing really minimal amounts of damage. And I suppose that is the right move. It would be fairly irritating if it turns out you would die, because the penalty for dying in this game is still fairly high. I think that this might be maybe our first introduction to a 3rd tier level. It will go down and there'll be a whole nother level, and then we go down and there's the 3rd level. These deeper backgrounds certainly would imply something like that could happen. These guys come out of these holes, and then they just come always out of the holes. Have to remember to summon our healer bot. Of course, the other possibility is that this just becomes a small area, like so many of the other crypts have been. Artistically, you would assume that it would have gone down this direction, but no, it seemed like the path curves around this direction. I guess my desire here is to increase my damage still. I also think if I were to get more spells, I'm gonna think about doing more passive spells for the dog. These summons visual is just not that interesting. It's really a distraction. Each one of these little screws on the floor, I guess, can rise up and potentially be a enemy to the trap. Squishy sound effect there. I have to constantly remind myself that I am playing on easy. And that is certainly a factor here. Wow, the game just locked up for a few seconds there on all the visual effects happening. That's potentially going to suck if all of a sudden we start to have a buggy game or crashy game experience, which I have never really had a great experience with my current computer build, so I can't ever 100% just blame a game for being buggy. But in that case, that definitely, it definitely feels like that was more of a, let's put too many visual effects on the screen. Which that would suck if we have to start thinking about changing settings, because I'm not sure what we could do. Probably this rim lighting might be one, or hardware skinning. Yeah, here they're saying basically bloom is about the only thing to show. Particle detail and shadow detail might be something worth turning down. Floating damage and text. I guess if I turned it back to normal, maybe that would be show me the total damage. Let's turn that to normal and experiment with that, and then turning off shadows will improve frame rate. So let's go shadow detail less. I imagine in this game it might not even look much different to have shadow detail turned down less, because you already have it as a kind of cartoony game in its animation style. So shadow detail in my mind tends to be a thing that works better for hyper realistic graphics. Okay, we do have Badlands set. Now we have a faster weapon, claw. Let's think about that. This requires level 30 and is not part of a Badlands set, so I don't think I would want that. 143 is another weapon to consider, so which one would we want? Reduction in fumble chance, 4% damage when dual wielding. I think we would prefer that if we're going to do anything. Ice armor with increased amount of gold. So no, we wouldn't want that. The damage that's being done, the base damage per second here, is already getting bumped up quite a bit, but clearly the momentum is to bump it up even higher. Now I'm still very much in the case where I don't really see how you could play with a very, very slow weapon unless you're playing with other people and you would be the heavy to come in and do the major damage against the named characters, and even then I question whether that works. To me, it definitely feels like you're wasting your build of your character. To be a heavy attacker. There's an armor ring. Okay, we're good enough. Go ahead and set the dog to sell those items. There was another item. Oh well. With the dog gone, he's not going to be summoning all the creatures. So it does feel like the summons were playing a pretty big role there. Things are dying a little slower now. So the summons worked. Definitely feels like if you were going to have an Egyptian group of enemies, an Egyptian society effectively, with this mechanical element to it, that they should be a major part of the story and not just the most recent enemy set of many enemy sets. Because the game already in the first act has just trained me to think that none of these characters are much more than just palette swaps for the previous enemies, even if they attack slightly differently. Or completely differently, they still just feel like palette swaps. I think we're gonna have to go back. Still struggling to figure out what the right direction is. So I do suspect that we're gonna just wrap around this whole area. I guess you have an interesting question in that there are elements on the walls, such as this, and the walls, and benches, scrolls, bookshelves. In Diablo, when there was a bookshelf, you could usually click on a bookshelf and find a tome on it. Here, they've reduced it to just being a visual element. It's not really into the realm of asset flipping in the sense that there was no effort put into it. It's just procedural generation. If there's a wall, let's potentially put something interesting on the wall, but then it's just decoration, just set decoration. And as this game is inherently trying to simplify everything else, whether it meant to do that or not, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it meant to do it. for as successful as it was to actually simplifying what even Diablo 2 was, it's kind of funny to add extra visual distractions. Well, the game didn't lock up for half a second there, as far as I can feel. So, decreasing the level of shadow detail. Although you can see what's going on here, that the level of shadow detail is really bad now. Just, there's a axe shadow for some reason that's following me around. There's just like several items. So let's go back. Turn that to very high. Hit apply. Walk over here. No, I think it's just straight up glitched. Like, yeah, there's a ridiculous amount of items that have shadows following me. So we'll leave it on high. And then... Interesting. Kind of a trap. So I guess every time I'm hitting them now, I am doing... It's telling me how much damage I'm doing to them. I think what I would prefer to do is actually turn it down even all the way off. Yeah, you have it in normal mode or verbose mode, whatever mode it is in right now, and the game becomes an arcade style game, telling you exactly just how much damage you're doing, which, looking at the numbers, does seem to wildly change. Seemingly sometimes you're doing as low as 8 damage, and sometimes you're doing 150 damage. So that's normal. I guess we'll turn on verbose and just see how crazy would the text become. See, there is an interactable element. So it's not always set decoration, it's just a lot of times set decoration. Yeah, I'm not sure what would change in verbose versus normal mode. It definitely has that more cartoony comic book feel to it, certainly with all that text. Getting further away from the dark feel that you would expect from... So maybe absorbed is one of the things that would be added. What was that sound effect? Let's see what none looks like and feels like. That's probably what we want. A lot of this dungeon has felt more like an opportunity to just get free rewards and upgrade your equipment. Which I wouldn't be surprised if that is exactly what this is all about. Really is. Can we give the player enough gold? See, there's this minimalizing factor, it feels like, for the maximum amount of gold you can pick up in one pile. So 1%, 2% gold increase may
My
not
inventory is full.
really be as helpful as
Can't
it
carry
should be.
anymore.
Right. First of all, we've got skills, so let's continue to do that. Strength up to 100. Get dexterity up to 60 because it's a nice round number, and then strength up to 99. No, strength up to 100 because it's a nice round number. Of course, inherently the problem with what we're picking up, it's at about our level, but most of it's not special. So the thought always was that Diablo games, and games like Diablo, like this game, would be nicer if you could just trash items into a dust, into some kind of currency, instead of even having to send the pet back. But at the longest thought where that goes is you really increase the amount of gold by 6% versus 1% experience. You kind of don't need experience gain that much. But yeah. Poison armor. But yeah, the final solution that thought eventually leads to is, why not just have a reduction in pointless items being given to you. Right, so this is part of the outlaw set. Increase in the amount of experience gained by 2% versus 1% gold. There's no reason not to wear the outlaw's badge. It's way more armor. Execute. So we will get the unique gem out of that. Some of this low-level equipment certainly is not doing anything for us. Armor trinket. Where do you equip this? Oh, this is a socketable. Okay. So, unique socketable. Level 1, 1% amount of gold found. Well, I would certainly like to find a lot of lucky coins then, I suppose. But I imagine may only run into one in the entire game. I need to be careful and go back and make sure I didn't miss anything here. on the same thought of potentially the game just giving you less garbage, vendor trash, to begin with, there was also the thought of piles of gold stacking up, having some kind of like a loot goblin that would run around and pick up gold, and maybe then you chase the loot goblin to get a bigger pile of gold, or just have multiple piles of gold combined. It's almost an opposite problem that you would have in something like Skyrim, where Skyrim save files just get bigger and bigger because every time you move or even bump into an object like a dagger on a shelf on display or something, that gets saved in the save file as far as the position of that object. And so moving anything, picking up an item, changes it, where I think you would have almost the exact same experience to not have this consistent world that they probably spent way too much time making, but instead to have objects simply reset to their original spaces if they are still in the room. So if you knock something off the shelf, you just assume somebody picked it up and put it back on the shelf, or it just magically went back on the shelf when you left an area. That then only makes a smaller save file that would have to remember if objects are actually missing. Of course, a big way to solve some of that problem too is to not have a Skyrim-like design where there's just hundreds of types of items. So it looks like I'm going to be half right. There is a third floor here, but it is probably just a boss battle arena. Which has happened before, certainly. This thing, these do just do damage to me, I guess. I'm not sure they actually are doing damage to the enemies. Let's identify something just in case. Unique shield, we might be able to do something with that. Certainly wouldn't sell it. Okay. I think we're as good as we're gonna get. This is our experience bar down here. You kind of don't need that. Like, you could just be surprised when you level up. There's nothing you can really do that change anything. Got a lot of dead adventurers. So I would assume, since this is probably the end of Act 2, which we're going through this game fairly quickly, on easy. I don't feel like, though, unless this game just gets really... Whoops. That really destroyed me. That would have been a little premature. So he's teleporting, he's hitting hard, difficult levels. He's got support characters. I may have missed something in the teleport area in the lower left, but it's probably not anything too important. there's less enemies around to hit to get charges. And so right when you want those kinds of charges, they are noticeably missing. And instant refill on charges. Okay, let's look around. All the summoned assistance minions, I assume, are mostly dead, although there might be a couple. And we can't get up on this platforms. It does make a lot of sense that the game would potentially just force you to open the chest before the portal opens up. And if you were just wandering around doing nothing for a while, it would make a lot of sense for there to be a pop-up arrow pointing you towards the chest even. I feel like in Diablo that it works that way, so as much as this may be a clone of Diablo, there's still some things here that either could have been improved or actually regressed. I don't think this.
Here prepare today for war. Their legions number in the score. Their alchemy and artifice suffice to capture Mana, not once but twice. Imprisoned in the vaults, forsaken, subdued, enslaved, her magic taken, forced to lead their troops in battle, from guardian to so much chatter.
So, yep, our quest here are find, inform the Guardian of Air and Zephyrish to move the main story forward, and in general just find robot parts, which I'm not sure that the robot parts aren't in several different places. It seems to me like we should just use this waypoint portal back to Zephyrish, because we've done this whole area, and I have to assume that some new area is just going to unlock. See what the Guardian of Air has to say.
We must act quickly. It appears the artificer you defeated in the vaults has enslaved the Guardian of Mana for the enemy. The most pressing danger is that they will use the enslaved Guardian to corrupt and control all the world's magic. Our only recourse in that event may be to destroy the Guardian. There might still be hope if we can find a way to free the Guardian from Ezreal's control. We can save Zephyrish and thwart the Alchemist's plan.
Okay, our reward is a 180 two-handed or a slow 220 two-handed or a slow 168. 168, 168, 180. We'll take the most expensive one.
Not far from here, in the Salt Barrens, there abides a genie named Fuzzy Shaw. This genie has the power to release the Guardian of Mana from Ezreal's control, but his aid will come with a price. You must travel out into the Salt Barrens, locate Fuzzy Shaw, and convince him to help you free the Guardian.
I feel like some of these locations are actually closer to locations in Diablo 3. And personally, I always pronounce this as Djinn, and I've never seen it spelled actually D-J-I-N-N-I, but that is probably more accurately pronounced as genie in the sense of what genie were in the past. Genie basically just demons, not wish-giving blue creatures from the Aladdin Disney movie.
You have received a quest.
But yeah, I guess I have some fun with mispronouncing some words occasionally. Okay. So we want to save a unique thing. This went from 1% gold find to 2% experience. Alright. We have 15 pairs of boots here. And these are unique boots. So it makes a lot of sense to equip that. Alright. I don't think we're dealing with anything else. We should probably go ahead and just think about any item we might want to sell. In a funny way, I just don't want to get rid of this, even though the damage is low because of the magic luck find. And yeah, meteor strike. So even though this is slightly stronger, that's gonna be no. Faster movement speed. I don't even think I need faster movement speed. Unique boots versus a set of boots. Yeah. So sell that. Sell that. That's a shield. That's two-handed. I guess you're just selling that too. See what we can do here. Right now these are level 22. If I put these three items together and combine them,
Fortune smiles upon you.
it's still level 22, just with knockback or knockback resistance. Knockback resistance here. Knockback resistance here. Knockback or faster movement speed. High grade soccer ball.
You are fortunate.
Level 22. Weapon. I don't know if I'm really changing things or if I'm just re-rolling things in that case. Plus 12 melee weapon damage bonus. If I were to equip this. Our money is not great, however. And that puts us more over here. We just need to start by selling things. That gets us a couple thousand more. Well, look at all the weapons. Really, I'm just looking at that second line to see if it's a unique set item or if it's a unique item. So it might say unique, it might say set, it might say unique set. Although I think there probably is a split between if it's a unique item, it's not part of a set. If it is a set item, it's not unique. That would make some sense. I'm hoping I'm not wasting massive amounts of money buying set items either. There is a real feeling that in Torchlight 1 in particular, that the real game may only really have started on your second playthrough. Same might be kind of true with Diablo 3. I'm not sure if it really was the same type of feeling for Diablo 1 and Diablo 2. I never really felt like
Hail, hero!
you were going to get anything too special if you played Diablo 1 a second time. Diablo 2 maybe had a higher chance of that. Okay. So the idea is this is going to replace this. So we want this to be enchanted.
Fortune favors you. Fortune smiles on you.
Increase amount of gold and plus 1% to all damage is not bad. This could give me health. This could give me more gold. Not sure anything else would be. Plus melee weapon damage bonus. Plus 12 melee weapon damage bonus. If we're going to do that, let's see if we can figure out what the melee weapon damage bonus is. Yeah, there may very well not be something here that says melee weapon damage. And so you're gonna just have to figure it out yourself as far as what weapons are considered melee weapons and which weapons aren't. I think this is melee. Plus 12 melee weapon damage may bump this up to the amount. And yeah, if I was to do this, 1 extra gold, even though we clearly still need gold, it's not going to change too much. So right now our damage is 169 to 364 in the right hand, which is this hand for some reason, is doing actually 201 to 364, and the left hand is doing 169 to 169. So the left hand here is actually doing what feels like the bare minimum. Put that into place, and that jumps it up to 179 to 372, with the right hand doing 212 to 372 now, and the left hand doing 179 to 179. So 12 melee weapon damage plus 1% to all damage made that worthwhile. Okay. So we'll, I think, sell this. Then 6% increase the amount of gold. We'll enchant
Fortune smiles upon you.
this.
Fortune favors you.
Focus and attribute bonus. Weirdly, it's too expensive to remove an enchantment, but I probably should on that case.
Fortune smiles upon you.
Poison damage and electric damage. Increase. 2 enchantments, 2 enchantments, 2 enchantments. 3 enchantments, 2 enchantments. We didn't find an enchanter. I guess we put this into the Boots of Severax, increasing our gold. And we can enchant that once. Give us some more health. 2 enchantments, 1 enchantment. So we are out of out of money. So the move is to go back here. And let's see where we are. Spec, chip. We can convert a chip and a chip and a chip. And we can do chip there. But then this unique one goes here. This is a level 26 Badlands set. That's a level 30. That's a level 23. Bonus critical damage. And that's really not a terrible thing. Could we potentially, since there is kind of nothing we can do with this, can we find a way to add unique items to add a socket to something? Like this outlaw set. I don't know. I don't know if we should really add a socket to that. This is a 34 set. The Janissary. That's 33. This is 34. So it actually would be a while before any of these set items could be used. And I wouldn't want to get rid of set items. And then this sword would have to have quite a few things socketed into it for it to make sense. We have a Rune Master. What are we wearing right now? Regent sets? We're still looking for a 4th Regent set. How are the Regent sets? They're level 21. I could switch to Asteria, but I actually only have 2 Asteria pieces because I have a duplicated piece there. Guess we can't do anything with the ice. We should do that. And then there's just a question. Unique items. This Bastion set. I moved over here. Kabbalist set, level 19. Why is that in that? Because you have to be an Ember Mage to play it. Ah, I see. So you have a level 7 shield, a level 28 shield. I would never play with a shield. Also should put this away. So I'm not gonna use it. Yeah, we're gonna use anything more. I would use this one. But I would need unique items, so unless there was a way to buy unique items, which I don't believe there is, and unique items do seem to be unique enough. Yeah. I am confused as to what the real strategy here is. Seems like it's a difficult trade-off to trade potentially some early game unique items that might be useful in a new game plus if your levels reset. Which way is the way? By the way to get back to Sephiroth? This way? Yeah. Okay. Any unique item times 4. I have 3 unique items, and then I could do a unique socketable, and then that would transmute into something else. Okay. Oh, I don't think this is actually going to work. The only thing I don't have socketed is this and this. I wanted this to be socketed, but to do that and that would require them to be of that level, and that level's too high. Same is true for this. These are all level 22 items.
Fortune smiles upon you. You are fortunate.
Weapon, 3% attack speed. This puts me in a bad position because I don't want to just travel back, but I really have no other option. So if I took this unique item and these 3 unique items, then I could transmute it into something different. But that's kind of all I can do. And that did not sell for much at all. I can't help but feel like the art style here doesn't really change the game much. My expectation here. See, and that's just level 22, so that effectively is a reroll that I just did. It didn't increase it. I just re-rolled it. So that wasn't even a good move. And I assume there's no way to exit, and because when you quit, you save and quit. Anyways. So I just did something fairly wasteful.
Greetings, human.
If you're heading out into the Salt Barrens, could you find out what happened to my companion Harif? He left with a crew to determine why the Skara have become so aggressive lately, but no one has come back. If you travel north to the Swarm Stacks, you should be able to find him, or at least what happened to him. Okay.
You have a new quest.
New side quest. And new area. Yep. There is definitely just a danger in that you enter another area and it just feels like more of the same, because it effectively is just more of the same. Yep. From the looks of it, weapon damage plus 50% maxes out that bar, and so maybe 200% is the maximum you can get for weapon damage. Yeah, that very well might be the limiting factor. And if there was more game to play where you could get more skill points after you've maxed out everything else, I guess you would just start pushing points into focus for an execute chance, even though you're not really going to use magic. It would be interesting if you could just always play your same character and go up to level 1000, and at some point you could completely change the class of your character. That is something that never really has been accomplished in any game I've seen, but it is an intriguing idea, certainly, that at some point in the game you might just completely respec your character. Okay, so this one requires level 32 and we are level 29, so it's going to be a while before we could move to the next rank. Which does probably make good arguments to just pour more points into passive things that we can upgrade. This also requires level 32. It might make sense to even wait until level 32 and have 3 points ready to go, but yeah, probably not. I'm a little reticent to even upgrade the healing bot because he's doing well enough. He's just not helping in giant big boss battles, which is probably always going to be the case. If we got him up to tier 3, we'd get a 16% armor boost. If we got him to tier 2, we'd get an 8% armor boost. So that might be a significant armor boost. So it might be worth putting points into that, focusing in a little bit more. The shadows have disappeared now that we're in a different area, as far as I can tell. And that definitely seemed like a glitch. So I don't think I would want to tweak too much otherwise. Yeah. Yeah, there's probably not too much more that would help tweaking it. Although it is nice to have these settings, there's also several settings I feel like we're still missing, like being able to bring the menu to maximum size. That would be the one thing I would like to see, is see the map at maximum size, not the menu. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and keep on watching.